you if you get an email that says, I hate all the photos you just sent me, and our brand will not be using them. Even worse, maybe a brand rips off an image of yours. They've never been a paying client. They use it for their own marketing, and you're furious, or you shoot a wedding. And the bride gets back to you and says, I hate all these images. Can you re-edit the whole wedding?
Oh, that has happened to you before. Today we are talking about real stories of real businesses and real people that have tough client feedback and how to respond to it and how to respond to it well so that you don't lose your mind or your business.
Yeah, this is super important, guys. How you respond to these situations says so much about your business, your character, and actually a lot about where your business is probably going to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. And so we want to talk about it because we've seen these situations in our own businesses have potential to go very wrong, and we've had to be very specific about how we respond. And then we've also seen some people do this very poorly. And I'm like, I just want to grab them by the shoulders and be like, you don't have to do it that way. There's a better way. Yeah. And so we want to talk about it today. But first of all, if you're new here, welcome to the Creative Rise Podcast. Welcome to the YouTube channel, the Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're catching us. Maybe it's online on Instagram. We're so glad you're here. We started Creative Rise, this podcast, back in 2019 with one goal to help you focus on the business side of your creative business so you can actually get paid to do what you love as a photographer, filmmaker, graphic designer, social media manager, influencer, content creator, brand builder, whatever you might be. My name is Joey. I started my business in 2014, building brands, photo, video, design, websites, funnels, brands, all that stuff.
Yeah. And I'm Christy, and I started my business. I don't even remember what year it was. You probably do. But I got into the wedding space.
What year did we get married?
2021.
Good.
I know that
she
one.
Doesn't remember it.
I'm really bad with dates. Hi, I'm Christy. I'm really bad with dates. But I do know that I built a wedding photography business, shooting couples weddings, and then built into the brand space as well. So do both commercial work and couples now, and it's absolutely awesome.
Yeah. So we've had our fair share of clients not being excited
Negative
with
responses.
us. Being in business for 11 years, you being in business for 10 years, we definitely have had our fair share of those emails where you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How do I respond to this? This is so awkward. And there's a very, very real thing that we feel inside of us when you get an email like that. It is one of the worst feelings in the world. You've often said it kind of actually feels like it's like, hey, we need to talk. It's kind of that pending breakup conversation.
You know, like the text, it's like, hey, we need to talk, ... And you're like, could we just not have put the ... in there? Like, it's just such a sinking feeling. Like, maybe it's like the small people pleaser part of me, but getting a text like that or getting an email or a call from a client when they're unhappy, it's like dagger to the heart. And I think that we've received those. We've had a lot of other people receive those in our community. A lot of friends receive those. And it's been really cool to watch people respond because you either are proud of your response or you regret your response. And I think that there's actually, most people tend to think, oh, you regret the response if you go gnarly on the client. But I think you also regret the response if you go, I'm just going to roll over, apologize, and give all their money back, right? Yeah, if it's not actually warranted.
There's a fine line.
There's two pendulum swing responses when you have negative client feedback. And one is you rip them a new one, right? You go at them the way they came at you and you just deny all responsibility, or you go the opposite way and you don't look at the facts, you don't look at the reason and the logic, and you just roll over and go, I'm so sorry, you're absolutely right, here's all your money back, right? Yeah. Like, we want to avoid these two pendulum swing responses unless they're actually warranted, and actually look at what's a balanced response. What's a response
we want to cut right down the middle.
Helps us build better businesses with our clients.
So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So excited you are here. Yeah. And we're going to be walking through 4 or 5 like real life situations that have all happened. All of these have happened to us or to friends of ours that own businesses. The last one is one we saw online this past week. Can't wait to talk about all of these with you. But Christy, why don't you kick it off? Yeah. You mentioned earlier on in the podcast, you have actually had somebody say to you, I want the entire
I hate my wedding photos.
What happened? How did you deal with it?
Yeah, so I'll keep details limited for privacy's sake, but had a great wedding. The wedding day was awesome. Had a great relationship going up to the wedding day. Delivered the sneak peeks, had really positive responses, and then sent the gallery. And I got a scathing email back from the bride, basically being like, "Hey, like, hate all the wedding photos. Like, hate the colors. Hate how I look. Hate this, and this." kind of like, this wasn't worth it at all. I want money back. I believe that you're withholding images from us, from the reception, like kind of like you're stealing images from us, which as an over-deliverer, I was like, that's not possible. I over-deliver
I
way
just
too
delivered
much.
you.
I just delivered like probably
images.
1,200 images.
Yeah.
But that's how she felt, and that's the email that I got. So my initial reaction was that gut punch. I'm mad. Like,
are you a fight or flight person?
I'm absolutely a fight person, which is honestly weird with my personality. But when I am backed into a corner, like I do feel like I get into a little bit of fight mode. Like I want to defend myself, right? Because I think
we all do.
Yeah, we all
Everyone
want to
does,
defend ourselves. So I was feeling very defensive when I got the email. And instead of just like instantly responding back or anything like that, I was like, hey, let me talk to a few people. Let me talk to a few friends. I think I talked to you about it at the time and was just like, hey, can you look over this? Like, am I crazy? Like, whatever.
I remember when you talked to me about this, I think we were dating.
Yeah, I literally remember the place I was sitting when I got the email.
Where
like, I was at Lido Island in Newport Beach when I got the email, and I was like, this sucks.
This just wrecked my
vacation. That's all right. But anyways, talk to a few friends, let things simmer down in my mind, which I'm going to talk in a second on why scientifically time before you respond to a conflict is so majorly important, not only in your business, but in your personal life as well. But gave myself a little bit of time. But before the end of the day, I shot her an email back and said, hey, thank you so much for this email. I'm so sorry. I don't want any clients to ever feel this way. That's not my intention. I want you to be completely satisfied with this whole experience. Can we hop on a call tomorrow at X time? So I moved it off of email. I was like keyboard warrior, all of that kind of stuff. And I think that's like, honestly, we don't have points for this podcast. I think point number 1 could be like, move it off of email, move it off of text, move it off of the written word, and let's go face-to-face or voice-to-voice. One, you cannot read, this is just basic. I feel like this is like middle school mom advice when you're in like an argument with one of your best friends. You can't read motive off of text, right? You can't read facial expressions. You can't read intention. They may be saying something so kindly, but if you read it with whatever bias you have in your mind, it's going to come off worse. So got it off of that, jumped on a call.
Well, one of the other reasons for a call is people will always, always, always be willing to say things more aggressively.
Absolutely.
Via text than they would actually to your face
100%.
or on a phone call. So
exactly,
getting people onto a phone call as soon as you can is very, very helpful.
Yep. And so we got on a phone call, and honestly, even just getting on the phone call, we jumped on the phone call instantly 10 times more soft than over email. Like, and I was like, hey, I wanted you to have an awesome experience. What can we do to write this so that you feel happy leaving this scenario, that you feel like you were taken care of? I didn't say, hey, only one edit in the contract, kind of like, screw you. Like, I didn't say all those things. I didn't have all my rights to come out and just be like, you don't deserve this, X, Y, and Z.
And to be clear,
came in,
did you do a great job editing the photos?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great job.
Yeah, like, you did a great job.
Yeah.
Did you deliver as many photos as you could?
Yes.
So you were completely in the right.
Yes.
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 So
it was coming down to preference.
It's important to say, that even when being right doesn't always mean that it's the right thing to do, right?
No.
You got on the phone and said, hey, I really want to make sure we can create a win here for you. Like, I want to make this right.
Yeah.
Let's jump on the phone and talk about it. Even though you as the photographer had done everything to already make it right as much as you could.
Yeah.
Instead of being right and pushing the fact that you were right, you got empathetic, you slowed it down, and you tried to create more emotional reasoning rather than.
But you know what?
Logistics.
After calming down the emotional side of it, I looked at what she was asking for and what she was requesting. It actually made me a better photographer. Like, I look back now and I'm like, I'm actually so glad she kind of like ripped me a new one. Not because I deserved it, but because some of the stuff she said of what she wanted, it's like making me a better service provider. Like in some ways. Like, she was like, oh, my lip color wasn't exactly matching the shade of my lip color in these photos, and I specifically picked this lip color because I really like this color. And you know, when you edit, like sometimes like little tweaks and tones change just slightly. And it actually made me go, you know what? Like, I actually probably should be very mindful about those colors of people choosing certain things and not just going, oh, well, I like this editing style and it's going to twist something. So anyways, that's like very niche.
So you took the situation.
I took some feedback on it and like,
I'm turning this into an opportunity to learn.
Absolutely.
Rather than
but what I didn't say,
this bride to the curb.
Exactly. And if I had screwed up on the editing, that's when you just own it to the client, right? Like that's where you just go, hey, I totally see what you mean. Like, absolutely. Let's get that fixed. I'm sorry about that. Whatever. But this wasn't really that case. It was more down to like little preferential things on editing. But by the end of the conversation, because I just asked her question after question of how can we make this right, she actually softened up so much to the point where she actually apologized for sending me that email. She apologized for accusing me of withholding photos. And she actually was like, you know what? It's a lot less about this. It's more about I spent so much money on my wedding that I'm freaked out that it's over. And I'm freaked out that I spent so much money on it that I just kind of freaked out at you and I'm sorry. Like she actually literally apologized on the phone to me. It was a crazy experience. Ended up doing some re-edits for her. She felt so taken care of by the end and absolutely was like buddy with me by the end. Whereas 24 hours previous, she had sent me a scathing email. So just to say, a few things we can learn from this. This is something that I learned with my therapist. She's incredible. She talked about how your brain and the way it's structured, and this is so interesting. And I might botch a little bit of this because I'm not a therapist and I'm not a scientist, but you have two parts of your brain that are super important during conflict. You have the amygdala and you have the prefrontal cortex. Okay, stay with me. The prefrontal cortex is all of your logic, your reasoning. That's the thing that when you're feeling good, that thing is operating really well for you. When your amygdala responds, it's usually during stress. It's usually during something that's like causing something within you to get all angsty. That's where your anger, your fear, your reactivity comes from, is when your amygdala flares up. So when something happens, when I get an email or she gets the photo she doesn't like, flares up the amygdala and your prefrontal cortex actually goes offline. That's why when you're in a heated argument with someone, or let's say like your boyfriend or your sister or whoever, you're in a heated argument and for some reason, logic is just not working, right? Like you literally cannot get past whatever it is emotionally, even if you're like, that makes sense, but I'm still mad, right? It's because your amygdala is flared up and your prefrontal cortex is offline. And until you calm down your amygdala, your prefrontal cortex will not reawaken. So you got to give your time. You got to give yourself time. You got to give maybe your client just like a second to calm down so that everyone's reasoning can come back online.
Well, and this is something that I've definitely learned about business through marriage.
Yeah.
Like in order for me to calm down your amygdala, if it's like super flared up and emotional, husbands, take notes. I have to actually empathetically recognize and reason with your emotions way before I can get to logic.
Absolutely.
So if you're mad about something that is to me a logical problem, but it's an emotional problem to you, if I come at it from a logical perspective, which is like classic male,
good night.
right? Like, you are just like, and it's like, it doesn't work. But if I go, hey, how do I actually like reason with her emotions and get empathetic with it and try and understand, what ends up happening is then you can now have a logical conversation. The same thing happens with clients. And it's so important that we go there.
Yes. So you have to, step one, if you have an unhappy client or someone who's giving you really negative feedback, you have to empathize with the emotions first. You cannot just go straight to logic. You cannot just go straight to, hey, well, I delivered X, Y, and Z, and here's what it says in the contract. You have to go, hey, I'm sorry that you feel that, I'm sorry you feel this way, but kind of like, I empathize with what you're feeling, and I don't want you to feel that way.
There's no reason why I wanted you to feel that way.
Yes, there's no reason.
What can we talk about that's going to make you feel better?
Let's talk about it so we can help you feel better about this situation. Instantly, they're going to go, and then we can have a logical conversation that was previously an emotional one.
Yes, that is so important. So we
Therapy
got a couple
101.
other situations. Yeah, it's so good. We got a couple other situations here.
Yeah, Joe, what do you got?
We get situations like this all the time. So if you're new to Creative Rise, Christy and I run something in the spring and the fall every year called the Creative Rise Mastermind. It's a 6-week mastermind where we teach you the 6 foundational pillars to building a 6-figure business foundation, all business strategy side. And we take about 30 to 36 businesses every time we do it. And we've got a grad community of people that come out of the mastermind and they hang around in a grad community that we still work with 365 days a year, which is really fun. Now, we get calls, text, messages all the time from people in our grad community saying, oh my gosh, I just got this email, or oh my gosh, this situation just happened to me. And this one happened to Ross. Ross is from Colorado. Shout out to Ross. A couple months ago, he recognized that a brand had actually ripped off one of his photos. They'd never paid him before, and they ripped off one of his photos and started using it for their marketing. Now, very understandably, Ross messages all of us, our whole grad community group, and is like, guys, I'm so frustrated right now. I've been trying to work with this company. They don't want to work with me, but they steal my work and start using it. I'm very frustrated. And so Ross had 2 different ways that he could have gone. And we really encouraged him to go one way over the other. And what he ended up doing was he ended up going back to the client and saying, hey, instead of me getting mad, I actually really, really value the fact that you value my work. I see that you have put value on my work, that it is good enough to be used by you, and that you're going to be getting benefit from it. So normally that's not okay, but I'm going to let it pass. I really love the brand, really love what you guys are doing. Because you value what I do, we should probably have a conversation about working together. And what ended up happening was he ended up getting a $5,000 campaign from these guys simply from approaching that situation, recognizing that something was done wrong to him. Instead of freaking out about it, he came at it empathetically and said, hey, might have been a mistake. I'm not sure why you guys choose to do that, but it's okay. We should probably work together. And Ross did a phenomenal job of that. And he ended up with a $5,000 campaign.
Yeah, so cool.
That's another story of when somebody wrongs you in business, being right and asserting how right you are about a situation does not always mean it's the right thing to do. And in this case, Ross did not do the quote unquote right thing to do, which would have been to slam them. You can't use my work for free.
Here's a bill for using this image.
And instead he just approached them and said, hey, I recognize that you recognize my work's of value. We should probably chat about working together. And you got a $5,000 campaign. So shout out to you, Ross. That's a great situation. Woo-hoo. I also had a situation like this a couple months ago. We had a huge rebrand deal we did for a client. It was great relationship with the client the whole time. We did new logo, colors, fonts, website, full brand kit, everything. And probably 2-3 months after everything was done, I got an email from the client saying, hey, not at all enjoying the website you guys made. I think it totally misses the mark on what we asked you guys to do. We paid for it. We've got to chat about what we're going to do about this because this website is not what we want. And I'm sitting there going, oh my goodness, like what? Like they checked off every stage of the website. When we built out each section of the website, we gave it to them. They signed off on it. This looks great. Oh, these colors, these fonts, like everything was checked off the whole way to where they came up with a website and they're like, we love this. This is great. And then a couple months later, they come back and say they don't like it. So I have 2 options. I can get furious, which I was feeling. I was like, oh my gosh, this sucks. This is the worst thing to feel. Or I could have responded and gone, I wonder if this is not about what it's about. I wonder if there's something else going on here, or I wonder why we're feeling like there's misalignment here. So what did I do? Instead of sending back a mad, scathing email, which of course you want to do, I responded by saying, yo, like, I am so sorry. However we got here where there's misalignment is not at all why you hired us. And so we've got to address this. Can you jump on the phone tomorrow? We ended up getting on the phone and I said, hey man, look, let me just walk you through my perspective on this. I just want to make sure that I understand where we went wrong. So here's what I thought was going on. Here's what I thought got cleared. Here's what I thought got signed off on. And then here's where we ended up. And you said you liked it. You're now saying you don't. Can you give me more info on that? Can you break it down? What about it do you not enjoy anymore? And what ended up happening was I came at him not very logically. You signed off on everything. I came at him very, very reasonable and said, hey, you had some sign-offs on this. Can you tell me what you signed off on you now don't enjoy? And I really want to get to the bottom of where we went wrong. And what happened was it took him from being defensive and me being defensive to we both were able to reason about it. And then he ended up saying, you know what? Our business has just shifted quite a bit in good ways since we actually had gotten you guys on this project 6 months ago. And so I think really what we're looking at here is the site that has been built is just not exactly what we need anymore because what we need is a little bit bigger and better because our business has grown. And I'm like, oh, absolutely. That's amazing. What you commissioned us to do is what you got, but what you got is no longer fully what you need because of the way your business has changed so rapidly over the last 6 months. So because of that, we should probably chat about what else we can do. And the conversation now turned into about hiring us for more work, right? So again, I had the opportunity to get defensive or I had the opportunity to get reasonable and get empathetic. And it totally changed the whole situation where we're still great friends, still a client, and there's definitely some more future work down the road.
Yeah. I think it's so much about like, how do we go from me versus you to us versus the problem, right?
Yes,
like how do we get
true.
us versus problem, same side of the table, get on the same side of the table so we can look at the problem and actually empathetically and reasonably try to fix the whole scenario, which is huge.
I had speaking of grads from our Creative Rise grad community, 2 days ago, I got a phone call at around 9:30 in the evening. And it was from one of our grads. And he said, hey, man, I just got an email. I'm really frustrated about it. It's a client of ours who's really mad about the content we just delivered. And they said that it's totally unusable. And I don't understand because they signed off on last month's content and they signed off on this month's content. And I got emails once that we delivered them saying, hey, we love the content. Now they're saying the exact opposite thing. I'm so frustrated. What do I do? And we jumped on the phone at like 9:30 p.m. and I was like, dude, let's chat this through. And I was able to help him recognize that it might not be what it's about. And so this is something that is very important. This is also great marital advice. Mm-hmm. It's not always about
what it's about.
Right? So what we ended up realizing, skimming through their email, was we were able to realize that their responses to the content he had delivered month 1 and month 2 did not at all sync with the response that he got in the email. It was such a drastic change. We started asking the question before we responded, what are some things that might be happening in their world that we cannot see that might have caused this drastic change? And how do we, instead of getting logical and fighting it with logic, really come down and reasonably respond and try and reason with them emotionally? So his email ended up going back to them that night really late. Hey, I'm responding to you. I know it's really late at night. I'm responding to you because I really want to make sure you understand that our relationship is something that I really value. And since you sent me this type of an email, I want to make sure you know it's top priority to get back to you and communicate clearly with you. Thank you so much for the email and thank you so much for the feedback. My job is to make sure you never feel the way you're feeling. I'm not fully quite sure why the response has gone from you saying you love the content month 1, love the content month 2, and now you're telling me all the content we've shot for you month 1 and 2 is unusable and you hate it. Can you break it down a little bit for me so I can understand so that we can work towards making this right? And he sent off this long response email really going at all the things they said, not from me, I'm going to attack the things they said, but I'm going to respond with curiosity and empathy. Can you give me some more context on this? I really want to make sure that this is not what ends up happening for you guys, and I'm going to do everything I can to make it right. And I'm really excited to hear about how this situation plays out. This was literally just the other day, but his response was 1,000 times better than what a lot of creatives would do, where they would just get furious and you can't cancel your contract. We did everything we told you we were going to do, and you guys said you love the content, so screw you guys. His response was so much better. And because of that, he is not now creating a terrorist against his business. Mm-hmm. It's a great quote. Do everything you can to not create terrorists, right, for your business. You do not want people running around the community or your industry screaming about how you are not a great person to work with and really adding some destruction to your business.
Yeah. And I think something that we always need to remember, that I always need to remember, that Joey always needs to remember, is that we are service-based businesses. We're not just artists, right? We are artists, but first and foremost, you are a service-based business. If you are selling something, if you're commissioned to do a service for somebody, even if it's artistic, even if it has all that type of flair, it is still customer service first. And we saw something online this last week that happened that I was like, man, that is just missing the mark of a service-based business. Not going to call her out because we're not about that here at Creative Rise, but I saw a reel online that was kind of blowing up, and it was a photographer basically instructing other photographers that if someone comes back to you, specifically this was in the wedding industry, if someone comes back to you saying, hey, I didn't like your edits, can you re-edit some photos for me? Can you re-edit a gallery for me? Can you re-edit a wedding for me? To basically, she gave a response to send them basically saying, no, you hired me for my artistic direction, and therefore in my contract it says I will not re-edit and I will not give you raws. So no.
As long as I'm aligned with my artistic direction.
Yeah, as long as I believe I aligned with my artistic direction, sort of like screw off a little bit.
Yeah. Which is crazy because this is the biggest day of someone's life, their wedding. And this photographer's responding saying, yes, actually, I believe I did a good job, so I don't care what you think. Yeah. Screw off. I'm not giving you money back, nor re-editing images. And what's so broken about this is not only is that just a horrible thing to receive an email back as a bride who's like, this is I've been looking forward to this. This is the one day. And I spent a lot of money on this. Yeah. Not only is that a horrible thing as a bride, the other side of this is that re-editing some images in a wedding gallery. I've shot a few weddings. You've shot hundreds of weddings. Re-editing a whole wedding gallery and tweaking things to adjust to some of the things that the bride is saying. I just feel like if it's a little bit more like this, I'd like them more. That might take you between 1 to like 5 hours.
Yeah.
And while that's not ideal to have to do more work, 1 to 5 hours can completely change the bride's outcome, right? They get great wedding photos. It can completely change the fact that the bride is frustrated with you. And it can completely change the fact that you now have a happy client with a massive referral network for the rest of your business's lifetime, rather than creating a terrorist for your business who's going, I cannot believe that wedding photographer screwed me over. I now feel very taken advantage of. Don't hire her. I'm going to scream from the mountaintops. That was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
It's really not a ton of work to totally flip that situation on their head.
No,
and it's
not.
sad when photographers get together online and they talk about how you should stand on your artistic freedom. And like you said, be an artist
then. Like, go be an artist who makes art and sells it. Let's define
the difference here, because a lot of people say, well, it's subjective to my opinion if I like the edits and if the bride should like them too, because I'm the artist.
Yeah.
And what's really complicated about this is, and we see this in the wedding industry all the time, is that people end up shooting, and it happens in the brand industry too, but the struggle here is that people believe they're artists, and you're not really an artist. An artist is someone who, on their own free time, own free will, goes and makes their own art, and then it lives in the world. And if people want to buy it, they can go buy it, right? When someone paints a painting and it's in a gallery, and if it never gets bought, it never gets bought. But if it gets bought, awesome. Versus somebody hitting you up and saying, hi, you're a service provider, you're a photographer, can you please come to my wedding for X amount of hours and deliver me X amount of photos? Here's the money. And you say yes. If you agree to that, you're not an artist. You are a service provider. Your art is no longer art. It is actually a product. And if you then decide what the outcome of that product is, and the client who commissioned you to actually do the job and who you are contractually obligated to serve doesn't like the outcome they got for very reasonable reasons, and it's only going to take you a few minutes or a few hours to quickly adjust some things to make sure they're happy. If you say no to that, you are just walking yourself into probably a short-lived career. 2, you're probably going to really have to work harder to operate and run your business, because you're massively slashing the opportunity for referrals for your business. And for people to want to share about how their experience was so good with you. And you're going to create someone who has a lot of frustration about what working with you looked like. And that can get really, really ugly. Publicly ugly.
So a couple ways you can respond to this. If you're in this scenario and you're like, hey, someone's asking for re-edits, or they're asking you to redo something or whatever it is, you don't have to just say, absolutely, I'll read everything for you for free. You don't have to do that if you don't feel good about that. You can offer re-editing for a fee, right? Or you can go, hey, pick 10 images. I'll re-edit those ones. And then I can edit the rest with a fee per image. Or you can just re-edit them all for free. Or you can offer them the raws, right? And say, hey, you know what? It sounds like the editing style that you're really requesting and looking for isn't something that I specialize in, but here's the raws. You can go and find somebody else to be able to edit these to your liking.
Yeah, that's a huge conversation too, the raws.
People
love
people dying on the hill. People dying on the hill of the raws makes
such a crazy conversation.
Want to die. I just am like, I'll digress. That's not what we're talking about.
No,
today,
talk about it.
Well, to me, I'm like, the raws. First of all, giving someone the raws, if you're so concerned that they are going to go take those raws and edit them in a way that's not reflective of your style and then post them, just ask them not to tag you. Just be like, hey, I'm going to give you the raws, but whenever I give the raws and you do a re-edit, please just don't tag me, because it's not reflective of the style. And then if your friends come to me for that style, then I won't be able to deliver that style. And it just gets a little bit whatever. So anyways, now I don't even think that's big of a deal, to be honest, at all. However,
it's not about that. It's about the fact that people are saying, I want the raws. I don't like what you did. And photographers get so devastated about it.
I don't know why.
Which is ridiculous. Yeah, you are a service provider getting hired to fulfill somebody's dream, especially if it's on their wedding day. And if for any reason they don't love the photos, you need to re-edit them so they love them. And if you're not willing or capable of doing that, then just give them the raws.
Have raws be an upsell. Make some money off of the raws, right? Gosh. Like there's just way better ways to run your business. So don't fall into the trap of like, oh, I have to be the stingy, mean contract photographer that is nickel and diming every single person on like being ultra offendable and ultra like I'm an artist and you are insulting me because you don't like my edits. That happened to a friend of ours. She hated her wedding photos. She asked for the photographer she didn't even ask her to re-edit. She just said, hey, will you just send me the raws and I'm going to have them redone so that it matches the aesthetic of my house or something like very gentle. The photographer
She was looking
raged.
to print. She was looking to print some images for her house. And she's like,
the
I think I want to shift
photographer,
the edit so it matches my style.
Man, the photographer raged at her. She said, this is so offensive that you would ever even ask me that. How dare you? Blah, 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 blah. It was a horrible situation. And I'm like, man, imagine if she just would have gone, you know what? Absolutely. Here's a link. Boom. Instant referral. Instant, that was amazing. And the poor couple actually has photos that they want of their wedding day, right?
Like, oh my gosh.
Like, let's get outside of our little offended artistic bubble and actually go, these are human beings. This is the one day of their life that they're going to be able to have these images. Just give them the raws. Like, don't be a baby. Just do it. Anyways,
so true.
This is why we're digressing. My amygdala is flaring up and my prefrontal cortex
Has come
offline.
Our own businesses for collectively 21 years now as professional photographers and filmmakers, and we just cannot tell you how much simpler life gets, how much simpler business gets, how much more money you will make if you just treat people well. You serve them because as a photographer, filmmaker, designer, brand builder, whatever you might be, content creator, you are a service provider. You're not an artist. You're a service provider. Artists are people who make art for the fun of it, and if it ever sells, awesome. If it doesn't, who cares? Because that was not their intention. If you open a business and you use your art to be turned into a product, be sold to a bride or be sold to a brand, you are a service provider. Start acting like it. We're going to wrap up with that. Hopefully this episode was helpful, guys. If it was, share it with a friend. If you like these episodes that are a little bit more like hot topic-y, let us know. Shoot us a message on Instagram. We can do more of these. If you've got a topic, if you have a topic you would love for us to jam on, or you want our thoughts on it, hit us up. We'd love to do an episode on it. But thank you for being here, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button or follow the show on Spotify. Make sure you find us on Instagram. Come hang out over there. We got actually a bunch of other content that's going to be rolling out on YouTube and on Instagram that is going to be a little bit adjacent to the podcast. So make sure you go there. You're going to get a ton of free value there, which is going to be cool. And to pitch something else for free, if you want the pricing calculator to either audit your wedding package pricing and make sure that it is strategically price anchored so that you can be booking the package you want to book, or you're working in the brand space as a designer, photographer, filmmaker, content creator, influencer, whatever you might be, we have a free pricing calculator for you. Go to creativerouse.com/pricing calculator. We spent a lot of money developing it. It's been such a helpful tool. I think there's over 4,000 of you creatives that use it on a weekly, monthly basis to really make sure your pricing is dialed in or locked in. And go to creativerouse.com or just go to the link in the description and get the pricing calculator there. Sign up for a free account, and it's free, and it will probably always be free. So go get that right now, guys. We'll catch you guys next week, and see ya.